I was really proud of my daughter as I watched her round second base on the business trip. Then the outfielder made an error and threw the ball back into the infield. Brooke didn't even slow her step as she watched the left fielder throw. I was really worried as Brooke barely managed to catch the baton to third base. I'd told her so many times never to make the first or last out of the inning at third base. The fans on our side of the field let out a collective sigh. It was the bottom of the 9th inning. After 9 innings of the district championship game, the score was tied. When the game ended and we went into second overtime, Brooke had made a triple early in the game. I've been a lifelong baseball fan, but I've never been more excited or nervous than I was at this moment. My daughter seemed determined to win the game even if she had to do it alone. The next batter struck the ball out on 3 pitches. Now we had 1 out and a runner on third. The next batter fielded the ball to third base. Their girl playing third base was. Thankfully, she watched Brooke go back to the bag and then threw the ball to first base, getting a little extra. Brooke rushed home, and I was so relieved. I couldn't make a sound. A lump the size of an apple had formed in my throat. Everything was happening in slow motion. The first baseman caught the ball and handed it to the catcher. Brooke slid to the back of the plate as the catcher brought the ball up for the tag. It was so incredibly close. Time stood still as everyone waited for the umpire's decision. After what seemed like an eternity, he spread his arms out to the sides, palms flat against the ground. Pandemonium broke out, and tears streamed down my cheeks. I watched as Brooke's teammates shoved her in the back and embraced her in a group hug for a moment. I felt bad for the other team, who had put forth an incredible effort, but only one team could come out on top. That's part of the game. I sat in the car as Brooke walked across the parking lot, laughing and joking with her teammates. She was radiant, brilliant, athletic, and smart. I was overwhelmed with love for this young beauty. "Hi," Daddy Brooke greeted, slipping into the passenger seat. "How did you like that game? Don't start talking about you getting the first out at third. We were in a tricky spot. We either had to do it in that inning or we'd be in deep. You know what? We better get the ice in today. Brooke, I didn't know your arm hurt. Did you tell your coach?" "No, Dad. That would have put her in a tough spot. She would have had to pull me out, and she had no one else. Nancy has a sprained ankle and Stephanie has some kind of flu, so now we're going to the States next week." Brooke grinned. "That sure beats ending the season, doesn't it?" I marveled at the child sitting next to me, the former driver. I changed her dirty diapers. I taught her how to ride a bike, throw, catch, and hit. She's now the reason her school won the county competition and is going to States. I took some credit for her many academic and athletic successes. "Where are we going, Daddy?" Brooke asked. "You missed the turn onto Route 6. We're going to celebrate winning the district. I hear the new Hilton Hotel and Wilkes Bar is rumored to have one of the best restaurants in the county. I think we both deserve a big steak and baked potato," I announced. "Dad, you like steak and potatoes, so I'm going to order the lobster. I might suggest you wash down your steak with a mug of frosty MGD." Brooke laughed. "Hey, I never thought of that, but now that you've suggested it, I might do that. I've been recycling beer cans all my life, so I know what Dad likes." "You're not that original," Brooke said when we entered the restaurant and saw there was already a 10-minute wait. While waiting for a table, I was given a light-up vibrating pager. I sat down on a bench while Brooke excused herself to the ladies' room. She returned about 5 minutes later, and I didn't pay much attention until a few minutes later when I noticed tears streaming down Brooke's cheeks. "Brooke, what's wrong, baby? Does your arm hurt, sweetheart?" "What's the matter?" I asked. "You know your mom couldn't come to my game because she had to go to Philadelphia for work, right?" Brooke was sobbing. "So that's it, Brooke. You know your mom has a high-pressure job at an insurance company, and she has to travel a lot. She really wanted to go to your game, but her schedule didn't allow it." I reasoned. "Don't feel bad. I don't think it's a big deal if she never comes to my game. I'm not sure I'd want her to anyway," Brooke said angrily. I was surprised. Brooke never spoke badly about her mother or used vulgar language, although she'd heard it from me sometimes. Her emotional outburst was a complete shock to me. "Oh, Dad, you're as blind as I am. Mom didn't go to Philadelphia. I saw her sitting inside with some guy, holding hands with him and laughing. It's like she doesn't care about any of us." Brooke couldn't have surprised me more if she told me she just signed with the Yankees. My wife's mom got involved with another man. I felt dizzy. Brooke wrapped her arms around me and sobbed. I started crying too. How could one of the best days of our lives gone so quickly? I pulled away from Brooke enough to return the vibrator signals, then hugged her and led her back to the car. I helped her into the car and then climbed into the driver's seat. I didn't start the car because I could barely see the two of us sitting in the car park for another 10 minutes. The nausea, shame, and terror eased, and I was able to wipe my eyes and focus. "Brooke, are you sure it was your mother?" I asked quietly. "It's entirely possible that you were wrong. We can get upset over nothing. It could have been someone who looked like Natalie. Perhaps that's what you saw." "That's right, Dad." "What?" "I don't know what my own mother looks like." "There must be." I saw several thousand purple Lexus SUVs with license plates that said Nat. Brooke was upset. I looked in the direction she was pointing and saw Natalie's car a few rows ahead of us. I realized it was true. "I'm sorry, Brooke. I guess I was just trying to deny that it could happen to me and to us. I apologize. But it's pretty obvious that your mother is in that hotel. She lied to both of us and is cheating on me. We have to accept that fact and decide what to do next." Then my cell phone rang. I knew who it was before I even looked at the screen. It was Natalie. I didn't want her to realize that Brooke and I knew where she was and what she was doing. At least not before. I could decide on a course of action. "Hi, Natalie," I replied as calmly as I could. "She's with some of her teammates right now. Natalie, I'll pass on the message. Are you in Philadelphia right now, driving down Broad Street as I speak?" Natalie laughed. "The traffic here is slow, so I thought I'd call and see how it went. Be careful in that new car." "Natalie, you're driving your Lexus, aren't you?" I asked. "Of course I am. Tim, I love this car. It's very safe and it's not nearly as fuel-guzzling as your Ford. I've got to go, Tim. I'm almost at the hotel. Love you, and I'll call you again tomorrow," she promised. I hung up the phone and looked at Brooke. It looked like she was about to snap again. Then she snorted and smiled at me. "To hell with that fool," she said. "Really, Daddy?" Brooke asked rhetorically. "We can have a normal life. I think we can manage without her, actually. If you could stop using profanity, young lady. Things might have turned out differently, but that's no reason to act like you're low class. I raised you better than that," I chided. "I'm sorry. I was just so angry and I thought only swear words fit the situation." Brooke explained that she's better now, but she's still worried about you. At first, all I could think about was how little my game meant to her. She'd rather sneak off with some stud than watch me play in the district championship. I admit it. I don't know what to do next. It's such a shock. I think you'd kick her out so fast it'd make her dizzy. Think about how little my game meant to her. She'd rather sneak off with some other guy than watch me play in the district championship. I didn't even think about how awful you feel. Well, it certainly hurts, I admit it. I don't know what to do next. It's such a shock. I can't even think straight. Really, Dad. I think you'd kick her out so fast it'd make her dizzy. I think it's fair to say that she has absolutely no respect for you or me. Even without a boyfriend, that would be enough to divorce her," Brooke asked. And it seems like it would have been. But over the years I've learned that it's better to think things through rather than act hastily. I can always file for divorce, but I just have to be sure that's the best course of action. I replied, "Dad, do you have a spare key to Mom's car? If you do, please give it to me." "I do, Brooke, but why do you need it?" I asked. "It seems to me that it would be the final piece of evidence if the key fob works on the car over there. We'll be sure that Mom isn't staying at some hotel in Philadelphia," Brooke reasoned. I handed Brooke the key and she trotted toward the car as she approached. I was surprised when I saw the headlights flash as Brooke pressed the key fob button. She climbed in and started Natalie's car, waving as she drove past me. I quickly started my car and followed her, but she only drove a block before pulling into the Best Western. She reached the back corner of the parking lot and jumped out as she approached my car. She pushed the button to lock Natalie's car and climbed in with me. "This is just a small slice of how Mom's life will go." Natalie laughed and said, "Imagine when she can't find her car. She won't be able to report it stolen in Philadelphia. If she reports it stolen, her story will fall apart when she's questioned by the police. She'll have to explain why the car was here when she said she drove it to Philly. Lying complicates things. I didn't know whether to be proud of Brooke or make an appointment for her to see a psychiatrist. I must admit, I didn't think of it myself, but the more I thought about it, the better it seemed. Natalie will learn firsthand how lies can bite you in the ass." We stopped at a Burger King a few miles down the road and had some fries and a hamburger, then headed home. Brooke started asking questions. Provoking questions. "How long do you think Mom has been running around behind your back? Dad, do you think she's done it a lot of times? Why do you think she does it? Is she a sex maniac or something? How was your love life with her, Brooke? I've been thinking about it. She's been really nice to me in the bedroom lately. I can't really complain about that. As for how long and how long ago, I have no idea. I never thought she was particularly promiscuous. I admitted that, obviously, I had no idea anything was wrong. I bet it all started when she started acting particularly sexy with you. Women do that to minimize their guilt. How long ago did she start it? Brooke asked. I don't know. Probably over the Christmas holidays. A year ago. Old Brooke was surprisingly mature in so many ways. Sex had never been a taboo topic in our house. Natalie and I felt we should always be honest and open when discussing it with Brooke. We wanted her to understand the dangers and pitfalls of starting sexual activity too early. You know, you need to go to the doctor for a checkup. You don't know who the guy has been with. Do you, Dad? Everyone he slept with. You could say you slept with him too. As far as diseases are concerned, Brooke. She also advised that I should get contraceptives if I'm going to keep sleeping with my mum. I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't that be a strong indication that I suspect something? Your mum isn't stupid, even though she acts like it. I added, but I can't have sex with her anymore. I don't want to be intimate with her anymore. I'll go for a checkup and just find ways to distract your mother until I decide what to do next. Just make sure you take care of yourself, Dad. I'm going to depend on you. I'll be there for you more than ever when you decide to divorce her. I'll definitely be moving in with you. Brooke was pretty adamant. Why are you so sure it's going to end in divorce? Brooke, it's not impossible that Natalie and I can work things out. Dad, you're always so gentle and kind to Mom and me, but I know how you think and feel. You'll never be able to accept that Mom is lying to you. Even if you could get past the sex, she's past it, and it's just a matter of when you accept that fact. Brooke predicted. I wondered how many men in my position over the years have had an intelligent daughter with whom they can talk things over. Brooke kept me from falling apart. She made me look at situations logically, not emotionally. She only pursued my best interests and had no hidden agenda. Could a person have a better confidant? The next day, I made a doctor's appointment after work. I stopped by the school to pick up Brooke after practice. I arrived a little early and watched the girls. The other parents were raving about Brooke's performance at practice. I felt pretty good about that, and pretty bad about my marriage. Natalie showed up at the door around 7. I tried to greet her the same way I usually did, but it seemed weak. I wondered if Natalie would notice. I shouldn't have bothered. I missed you so much, Tim. Natalie said, I'll show you how much I missed you later. By the way, I was wondering if you still had a spare key to my car. Sure, here it is, I replied, reaching inside my pocket and pulling out her spare key. Did you lose yours? No. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to drive home, would I? Natalie answered a little too quickly. I just thought I should have a spare in case I lost mine. Okay, I agreed, and handed her the key. She must have found her car, but she was suspicious of how it had been moved. She'd be more careful now, as if on cue. Brooke walked into the room. Hey, Mom, how's Philly? Did she have a good time? I didn't expect to. Have a good time, Brooke. These meetings are long and hard, Natalie said. I don't think they're fun. Okay, Mom. They're not fun, but they're necessary. I'll remember that. Why do you keep working if you're suffering so much? Brooke wondered. Daddy makes good money, and you're smart. You could find something that gives you more free time to spend with us. I love my job most of the time. Besides, I won't always spend so much time traveling. I think things will settle down by the end of the year, and then I'll have plenty. You'll have more time to spend with us. Natalie carried her small suitcase into the bedroom and closed the door. Brooke gestured for me to follow her into the kitchen. Did you hear that, Dad? It looks like her lover will be moving out by the end of the year, and then you can have Mom. How's that for a deal? There'll be lies and possible STDs for another 6 months or so, and then it's over unless she finds a new stud. Can you live with that decision, Brooke? You took too much out of one sentence. Brooke, I said it might not be what she said, and it's probably not what it's all about. Remember, I grew up around both of you, and I know how you both think. Mom thinks that she can have this affair and then go back to normal next year, and no one will be hurt by it. Brooke argued, well, that's a moot point. Dad, these things don't just go away, you know that. That night I told Natalie that my back and head hurt. Even then she suggested that I lie still, and she would do all the work. It took some effort to talk her out of sex. That's what my life has come down to. I have to talk my own wife out of having sex with me. I really resented that. The next night, as I watched Brooke's team finish practice, it seemed to me that the mothers of several of the girls were friendlier. Brooke noticed it too and mentioned it on the way home. "Daddy, did I see Emily's mom holding your hand while talking to you? It looked like she was pressing her breasts against your hand." "It's no accident when a woman does that," Brooke assured me. "Could it be that they're lining up to sign you because you're about to become free?" Brooke asked. "I don't think they know that I might become free. Besides, my market value isn't that high. Their mums thought you'd make a good stepfather." It seems their mothers agree. I was again amazed at what my daughter said. She told her teammates that Natalie was cheating on me. Why not just put it in the paper and on the internet? What were you thinking? It's not something everyone needs to know about. Brooke, it's very embarrassing for me. Did you ever think that maybe other people already know? Dad, isn't it even more embarrassing to be ignorant of a situation that everyone else knows about? Trudy's mum saw your wife and a man walk into that hotel room a few weeks ago when she was there for a conference. The only difference is that now the girls' mums know that your mum's cheating mum knows about it, so it won't seem like they are destroying the family. Let's face it, our family is pretty well ruined as it is. Brooke said, "How many times can you shock someone before it becomes normal and stops being shocking to other people?" I knew I was a cuckold. That made everything that was happening seem even worse. The last shred of pride I had was ripped out of me after this week. Nothing could surprise me. There's more. Dad. Sarah had been complaining since last winter that Dad wasn't home much. She told us last week that they were moving after Thanksgiving because the insurance company her dad works for was moving him. Last night, Trudy's mom saw Sarah's dad picking her up after practice. Guess what? I recognized him as the same guy who's sleeping with her mom tonight. I went with Sarah to her car and made sure. He's the same guy who was with her the night I saw them all. All this information made my head spin. How did the kids manage to find out so much? Could it all be a coincidence? Is there such a thing as coincidence? Could our children know us that well? Why did I even pretend to think about this? All I have to do is ask. Brooke, what am I supposed to do now? Brooke, I moaned. I can't think straight anymore. Well, I'm glad you asked. Dad, I knew you'd look like a pretty good catch to most soccer or softball moms. These ladies confirmed that today. You don't have to put up with a woman who lies and cheats. You deserve better. I'm going to help you get it, but first, you need to get rid of the ballast. It was the night before Brooke's first state playoff game. Natalie had to leave for another business trip. She promised Brooke that she would drive all day if she needed to, so she could be back in time for the start of the game. That last lie helped ease our consciences. There was a knock on the room door from room service. A bottle of champagne was brought in. I convinced management that the couple in room 4002 were very close to us and we wanted to surprise them. It all sounded very friendly. I was really happy when the door opened. I put a 20 in the guy's shirt pocket, took the champagne and went in. Brooke, Sarah, and Sarah's mum followed me. Natalie was lying in bed, holding a sheet to her neck. Shithead was wearing a robe and looked really confused. "We really hate to bother you at work." I said, "It's just that Sarah and Brooke wanted to celebrate the district win with all their parents. The fact is that Sarah hit a 2-run home, run in the bottom of the 7th, tying the score, and then made the save in the top of the 8th, while Brooke hit a 1-hitter, tripled, and scored the winning run in the 9th. It seems like you both missed out on something special. Think about how proud Susan and I are of the girls. You really missed out. You should have been there, but you weren't." Susan raised 4 glasses, and I poured champagne into each one. I managed to open the bottle before room service. I knocked on the door and handed a glass each to Natalie and, to truth and to the success of our daughters. I toasted to the new direction of our lives, and to Sarah and her mum not having to move this autumn. Most importantly, here's to smart kids and good lawyers. Sarah's mum, Susan, and I sipped fizz while the girls drank sodas. "Don't bother coming home, Steve. Sarah and I will get along just fine without you. My lawyer assures me that the settlement will allow me to keep the house, and you can live a life of ease. Sarah won't have to change schools again. You get to keep the fool, so I think that's pretty fair." Susan grinned, but without any mirth. "Tim Brooke." Natalie screamed, "I love you both. Don't do anything rash. Nothing is what it seems." "I'm glad to hear that, Natalie," I said, relieved because it looks like lying in bed with your bare ass. What part am I seeing wrong? "Look on the bright side," Mom Brooke added. "You won't have to lie to avoid attending you'll be able to sleep with anyone, anytime, without feeling guilty." You won't have to worry about giving your dad AIDS or STDs. You'll never have to see how upset he got when he found out he was a cuck. I know you want the same thing for your dad that I do, which is for him to be happy. I think he'll be happy now. Thanks for everything, Mom. Just don't embarrass me by showing up at any event I'm involved in." All four of us walked out the door, and Natalie sobbed softly.